The alien queen thought she lost her daughter, until she returned with a human. The stars stretched across the dark sky like scattered diamonds. The alien world of Zifra was quiet, except for the soft hum of energy flowing through the city. Towering crystal spires rose from the ground, glowing faintly in shades of blue and green. This was the home of the Caliph, a proud and ancient species ruled by the queen, Ilyara. She was known across the galaxy for her wisdom and strength, and for the love she held for her only daughter, Laina. Laina had disappeared many years ago during a raid by a rival clan. Ilyara had searched the far corners of the galaxy, sending ships and scouts, but nothing could be found. The queen never stopped mourning. Even in her council meetings, her mind often drifted to thoughts of her lost daughter. The Caliph were not like humans. Their skin shimmered faintly in the light, and their eyes glowed softly in the dark. They could communicate using a combination of sound and subtle energy pulses. Even though they were strong and intelligent, the loss of Laina left a hole in Ilyara's heart that nothing could fill. One evening, Ilyara stood on the balcony of her palace, looking out over the sprawling city. The air was warm, carrying a soft scent of flowering plants that grew in the floating gardens. Her mind was restless. She had received a strange signal earlier that day. It was weak, scattered, and unfamiliar. But something about it made her feel hope, a spark she had not felt in years. Ilyara summoned her captain, a loyal Caliph named Zurin. Zurin was tall and muscular, with silver skin and piercing blue eyes. He had been with the queen since she took the throne. His loyalty was unmatched, and he had always shared her sorrow over Laina's disappearance. "Captain Zurin," Ilyara said quietly, "we received a signal from the edge of the Zypherian sector. It is faint, but it could be her." Zurin bowed low. "Your Majesty, I will assemble a team immediately. If it is Laina, we will bring her home." Ilyara's heart thumped with cautious hope. She knew the galaxy was full of dangers, and that the missing years could have changed her daughter. But she had to know. Hours later, a fleet of sleek Caliph ships moved through space, heading toward the coordinates of the strange signal. The crew was tense. They had faced pirates, cosmic storms, and alien predators, but the uncertainty of what awaited them now was different. They did not know if they were going to meet an ally or a threat. Meanwhile, far from Zifra, Laina was not alone. She had grown up on a distant human colony, hidden away after her capture by space raiders. The humans who raised her, a small family led by a kind man named Daniel, and his wife, Maria, treated her like their own. Laina had grown strong and curious, learning both human and alien ways. She was tall for her age, with hair the color of moonlight and eyes that reflected her mother's glow. Laina often wondered about her home planet and her real parents. Daniel had told her stories of her mysterious origins, always careful not to reveal too much. But she felt a pull toward the stars, a longing she could not explain. At night, she would stand outside and gaze at the sky, imagining the world she had never seen. One day, while exploring a nearby asteroid field, Laina stumbled upon a human research ship. Its crew was friendly and offered her a place among them. She learned about star maps, navigation, and alien cultures. The humans were fascinated by her abilities. She could sense energy in ways they could not, and she could move with incredible speed. Soon, she became a part of their team, earning respect for her courage and quick thinking. Back on Zifra, the Queen's fleet approached a strange system at the edge of known space. The signal had led them to a planet that shimmered with green oceans and purple forests. It was alive in a way that seemed almost magical. Zurin and the Queen's advisors scanned the surface for signs of life. "There," Zurin said, pointing at a small settlement near the coast. "The energy signature matches the one we received." Ilyara's heart raced. She could feel it, a strange, familiar rhythm in the energy. It was like a heartbeat calling to her. She ordered a landing party to descend to the planet's surface. Laina, meanwhile, was helping the human crew repair their ship when she noticed the strange sky above. A formation of alien ships was descending. She had seen many spacecraft before, but these were different. They moved with elegance and precision, and their energy glowed faintly in the dusk. Before she could react, a beam of light enveloped her. She felt herself lifted gently, and then everything went dark. When she opened her eyes, she was inside a ship that hummed with a quiet, powerful energy. Around her, beings unlike any she had ever seen observed her with cautious curiosity. Laina's heart raced. She did not understand their language, but somehow, she felt no threat. Then, a figure stepped forward. She could not see the face clearly at first, but something in the way the being moved, the way it carried itself, felt strangely familiar. The figure spoke, and though Laina could not understand the words, the energy it emitted seemed to wrap around her like a warm embrace. She felt a pull in her mind, memories she did not know she had, and a longing she had always felt. Then, in a moment that made her heart stop, the being revealed itself fully. Its form shimmered like crystal, and its eyes glowed with the same light she had seen in dreams. Laina, the figure whispered in her mind, a voice full of emotion and longing. It is time to come home. Laina froze. The name sounded like it belonged to her, like it had been waiting for her to hear it. She wanted to speak, to ask questions, but the words would not come. The feeling was too strong, too overwhelming. On the bridge of the Caliph ship, Ilyara stood still, staring at the monitors that displayed Laina's form. Her heart raced, tears forming in her eyes. Could it really be her daughter? After all these years, had the galaxy finally answered her plea? Zurin stepped forward, placing a hand on the queen's shoulder. Majesty, it is her. We have found her. Ilyara could barely speak. Her throat was tight, and her eyes blurred with emotion. She simply nodded and whispered, Laina, my child, welcome home. But the moment was complicated. Laina was not alone. She had been raised by humans and had formed bonds with them. She had grown into someone strong and capable, someone who was both human and Caliph. The queen would have to understand that her daughter had changed. As the ship prepared to return to Zifra, Laina looked out at the stars. She felt fear, excitement, and curiosity all at once. Her life was about to change forever, and she did not know if she was ready. But, deep down, she felt a connection to the alien queen who had never stopped searching for her. For the first time in many years, Ilyara felt hope. Hope that her daughter was alive, and hope that the bond between them could be restored. The journey back to Zifra would not be simple, but, for the first time, the queen allowed herself to believe in the impossible. The stars stretched endlessly before them, carrying a mother and daughter toward a future neither could yet imagine. The journey back to Zifra was quiet but tense. Laina sat near a window, watching the stars streak past. The ship hummed beneath her, a steady reminder that she was leaving the world she had known for so long. She thought of Daniel and Maria, the humans who had raised her. They had been her family. She had learned from them, laughed with them, and trusted them with her life. Now, she was being taken to a place she had never seen, to people she did not know, who claimed to be her real family. Laina's mind was filled with questions. Would they accept her for who she had become? Would they be angry that she had grown up among humans? Would her mother, the queen, even remember her? She did not know the answers, and the uncertainty made her chest tighten. Ilyara watched her daughter from across the room. The queen had prepared herself for this moment for years, but seeing Laina now, alive and grown, was overwhelming. She wanted to reach out, to hold her and never let go, but she also feared saying the wrong thing. Her daughter was no longer the little child she had lost. She was someone new, someone shaped by the humans who had cared for her. Laina, Ilyara said softly, stepping closer. Her voice was calm, but it carried the weight of years of sorrow and longing. I am your mother. You have been gone for so long. Laina looked up, her eyes wide. She felt the truth in the words, but she also felt the life she had lived with the humans pulling her in another direction. I know who you are, she said slowly. I don't know what to say. Ilyara nodded, understanding the hesitation. You do not have to say anything now. We will have time. But, you must know, I have never stopped looking for you. I have never stopped hoping. Laina felt a lump in her throat. Part of her wanted to cry. Part of her wanted to run back to the humans she loved. She could feel the pull of both worlds, and it made her dizzy. She realized that returning to Zifra would not be simple. She had to balance her past with her present, the humans who raised her with the mother she had lost. The ship passed through the final sector of space that separated them from Zifra. Outside, the green and purple planet came into view. Its forests glowed faintly under the setting sun, and its crystal cities shimmered in the distance. It was beautiful, more magnificent than anything Laina had imagined. Zurin approached Laina, bowing slightly. "We are close to landing. Your mother wishes to meet you properly. She has prepared a place for you in the palace." Laina nodded, feeling both nervous and curious. I will try," she said quietly. As the ship descended, the landing platform opened, revealing a group of Caliph waiting to greet them. They stood in perfect lines, their crystal forms reflecting the light. Laina could sense their energy, a mixture of curiosity and respect. She felt a strange connection to them, even though she had never met most of them. Ilyara was at the front, waiting. She stepped forward as the landing craft settled. Her eyes were fixed on Laina, and, for a moment, the world seemed to disappear around them. Laina felt a shiver run through her. She had never known such a feeling, both fear and comfort at the same time. "Ilyara," Laina said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "My child," the queen replied, tears glimmering in her glowing eyes. She reached out, and Laina took a hesitant step forward. Their hands met, and a spark of energy passed between them. It was a bond that neither time nor distance could break. Zurin cleared his throat, giving them a moment alone. "Your Majesty, the palace has been prepared. We have secured quarters for her, and the council awaits your guidance." Ilyara nodded, but her attention remained on Laina. "We will speak with the council later. Right now, you must come with me. There is much to show you, and much to learn." Laina followed her mother through the palace gates. The halls were vast, lined with crystal pillars that pulsed faintly with energy. The floors shimmered under their feet, reflecting the light in dazzling patterns. Laina could feel the history in the walls, the lives of generations of Caliph who had lived here. "This is beautiful," Laina said, looking around. "Yes," Ilyara said softly. "It is our home, and it will be yours too. But you must understand, Laina, that life here is very different from the world you have known. There are rules, traditions, and expectations that you must learn." Laina nodded, feeling the weight of the words. She had known life with humans, where rules were simple and love was unconditional. Here, she felt the weight of a legacy she had never been part of. But she also felt a strange sense of belonging. Something inside her told her that this was where she was meant to be, at least in part. That evening, the queen arranged a small dinner in the palace's central hall. The council members gathered, observing Laina with careful eyes. Some were curious, some cautious, and some openly skeptical. Laina could sense their energy, their judgments, but she held her head high. She had learned from humans how to remain calm under scrutiny. "Laina," Ilyara said, motioning to the council, "these are the leaders of our people. They will help guide you as you return to Zifra. But first, I ask for your patience and understanding." Laina bowed slightly, a gesture she had learned from the humans, but modified to fit Caliph tradition. The council murmured among themselves, impressed by her respectful manner. One council member, a tall Caliph named Saran, stepped forward. His eyes were sharp, his energy cautious. "Queen Ilyara, we are grateful that Laina has returned. But we must understand how her time among humans has shaped her. Will she be ready to assume her place among us?" Laina felt the weight of his gaze. She took a deep breath. "I do not know everything about your ways," she said honestly. "But I am willing to learn. I want to understand my people, my home, and my mother." A murmur ran through the council. Some nodded, others exchanged uncertain glances. It was clear that not all of them were convinced. Ilyara stepped forward, placing a hand on Laina's shoulder. "She has the heart of a Caliph," the queen said firmly. "Time and guidance will teach her our ways. For now, we welcome her home." The evening passed with careful conversation and introductions. Laina listened and learned, absorbing as much as she could. She asked questions about customs, about history, about her mother's life while she had been gone. Ilyara answered patiently, though her eyes never left her daughter. She wanted Laina to feel safe, to know that she was loved, even if the world around them was cautious. Later, when the council had departed, Ilyara led Laina to a quiet terrace overlooking the city. The night sky was filled with stars, and the floating gardens below glowed softly. Laina felt a strange mix of emotions: excitement, fear, curiosity, and longing. "I know this is a lot," Ilyara said softly. "You have lived a full life among humans. You have learned things we never could. But now, you are part of two worlds. That is a gift, Laina. You can bridge the gap between humans and Caliph if you choose." Laina looked at her mother, seeing both the strength and the vulnerability in her eyes. She realized that the queen had suffered as much as she had, longing for a connection that was lost for years. "I want to learn," Laina said finally. "I want to understand everything, and I want to find my place here. But I also want to remember where I came from." Ilyara smiled, a mixture of pride and relief. "That is all I ask, my child. You do not have to choose one world over the other. You are Laina, and you will make your own path." As they stood together under the stars, Laina felt a strange sense of peace. She knew the road ahead would not be easy. She would face challenges, skepticism, and perhaps even danger. But for the first time in her life, she felt that she belonged somewhere completely. The next day would bring more questions, more challenges, and the beginning of her real journey among her people. But that night, Laina allowed herself to rest, to feel hope, and to embrace the bond that had never truly been broken. The morning on Zifra arrived slowly, with soft sunlight reflecting off the crystal towers. Laina woke in her new quarters, a room filled with glowing walls and floating lights. Everything was unfamiliar, yet somehow it felt peaceful. She sat on the edge of the bed, thinking about the queen, the humans who had raised her, and the strange mix of feelings she carried. Breakfast was served in the palace dining hall. Laina walked with Ilyara at her side, feeling the eyes of the council members upon her. Some watched with curiosity, others with doubt. She knew she had to prove herself, not with words alone, but with her actions. As they ate, Ilyara spoke quietly. "Today, you will begin training in our ways. It is important that you learn how to harness your energy, how to move, and think like a caliph. You have gifts, Laina, but you must understand them fully if you wish to belong here." Laina nodded. "I understand. I will try my best." After breakfast, Zurin led Laina to a training arena. The arena was vast, with crystalline walls that reflected light in dazzling patterns. Several young caliphs were already there, practicing their abilities. Some moved with speed, others controlled energy in small bursts, and a few displayed advanced skills that Laina could only watch in awe. "Your first lesson," Zurin said, "is control. We will teach you to focus your energy, to bend it to your will." Laina followed his instructions carefully. At first, her energy was uneven. It flickered and pulsed, responding to her emotions more than her will. The other caliph watched silently, some curious, some skeptical. But Zurin was patient. "You have lived among humans," he said. "You have learned patience and resilience. Use those skills now." Laina took a deep breath, closing her eyes. She thought of her mother, of the humans who had raised her, and of the stars she had always longed to explore. Slowly, she felt the energy within her settle. She focused on it, shaping it into a small, glowing sphere. The sphere hovered above her hand, steady and bright. The other caliph murmured in surprise. It was rare for a newcomer to show such control so quickly. Even Zurin's eyes widened slightly. "Well done," he said. "You have potential beyond what I expected." As the days passed, Laina trained hard. She learned to move with speed and grace, to sense energy in the environment, and to communicate using the subtle pulses of the caliph. But she also faced challenges. Some young caliph were hostile, seeing her human upbringing as a weakness. They tested her in sparring matches and tried to show her that she did not belong. Laina refused to be intimidated. She used her knowledge from humans to adapt, finding new ways to move and think. Slowly, she earned the respect of some of the trainees. Others remained cautious, watching her carefully, waiting for a mistake. One evening, after training, Laina wandered the palace gardens alone. The floating lights cast gentle shadows on the crystalline paths, and the air was filled with the scent of alien flowers. She thought about her mother, about the humans, and about the life she had left behind. She felt torn between two worlds. Suddenly, a figure appeared from behind a glowing bush. It was a young caliph named Saren, one of the trainees who had been skeptical of her. "You are different," he said, his voice cautious. "Not just because of your upbringing, but because of how you move, how you think. It makes some of us uneasy." Laina met his gaze calmly. "I am not here to replace anyone," she said. "I am here to learn and to understand. If you are afraid, it is because you do not know me yet. I will show you who I am through my actions, not words." Saren studied her for a long moment, then nodded slightly. "Perhaps we will see." He turned and left, leaving Laina alone in the glowing garden. The next day, news reached the palace that a human ship had arrived near Zifra. The humans were curious about Laina, having heard that she was found and taken back to her home. Some members of the council were worried. They feared that her human connections might bring conflict or political trouble. Ilyara called a meeting with the council to discuss the arrival. Laina sat beside her mother, listening carefully. The council argued, some saying that humans could not be trusted, others suggesting diplomacy. "I understand your concerns," Ilyara said firmly. "But Laina's connection to humans is part of who she is. We cannot ignore that. She is my daughter, and she belongs here. But we must also respect the bond she has formed elsewhere." Laina felt a sense of pride. Her mother defended her not as a symbol, but as a person. She realized that being human and caliph at the same time could be a strength, not a weakness. When the humans landed, Laina was allowed to meet them under careful supervision. Daniel and Maria stepped off the ship, their eyes wide with relief and joy. Laina ran to them, embracing them tightly. "I missed you," she said, her voice trembling. "We missed you too, Laina," Daniel replied, tears in his eyes. "We always hoped you would be safe." Ilyara watched from a distance, a mixture of curiosity and caution in her gaze. She understood the importance of these humans to her daughter, but she also knew that their presence could complicate life on Zifra. The humans spent a few days on the planet, learning about the Caliph and observing Laina's life. They were amazed by the beauty of the world and the abilities of the people. They also realized that Laina had grown into someone remarkable, capable of bridging the two worlds. One evening, while Laina and the humans walked through the gardens, a sudden alarm rang throughout the city. Red lights flashed, and the hum of energy shifted into a tense vibration. The council rushed to the palace command center, and Ilyara's face tightened. "An unknown fleet has entered our sector," Zurin reported. "They are moving fast and appear hostile." Laina's heart raced. She had trained for battles in theory, but never faced a real threat. She looked at her mother, who stood calm yet alert. "Mother, what do we do?" Ilyara placed a hand on Laina's shoulder. "We protect our people. We defend our home. You have learned much, Laina. It is time to see what you are truly capable of." The Caliph mobilized quickly, their ships rising into the sky, energy glowing bright as they prepared for combat. Laina stood beside her mother, feeling the pulse of the city's energy. She could sense every movement, every shift in the surroundings. The humans watched, unsure of what to do, but trusting her judgment. The first wave of enemy ships appeared on the horizon. They were unlike anything Laina had seen, dark, angular, and bristling with weapons. The Caliph's ships moved to intercept, and a battle erupted in the skies above Zifra. Laina felt a surge of adrenaline. She focused her energy, extending it outward, and created a barrier to protect a nearby section of the city. Sparks flew, energy beams collided, and the air trembled with the force of the fight. She could hear her mother's commands, guiding the fleet, coordinating their movements with precision. Despite the chaos, Laina found clarity. Her training, her human instincts, and her Caliph abilities merged. She moved with speed, striking at enemy ships with energy blasts, shielding civilians, and aiding the fleet. She felt a strange sense of purpose, as if this was what she had been waiting for all her life. The humans watched in awe. They had never seen anyone fight like her, someone who combined the courage and creativity of humanity with the strength and precision of an alien warrior. They realized that Laina was not just a bridge between worlds. She was a force to be reckoned with. As the battle raged, Ilyara fought alongside her daughter. Together, they coordinated the defense, their bond evident in every move. The enemy was strong, but the unity and skill of the Caliph, guided by Laina and Ilyara, began to turn the tide. By the end of the day, the enemy fleet retreated, their ships scattering into the dark reaches of space. Zifra had survived, but the danger was not over. The council praised Laina's bravery, though some still questioned her place among them. Laina stood with her mother on the balcony that night, looking out over the city. The stars above seemed brighter than before, as if celebrating their victory. "I did not expect this," Laina said quietly. "But I feel like I belong here." Ilyara smiled, her eyes reflecting the glow of the city. "You do belong, my child. And one day, you will show all who doubt you that being both human and Caliph is our greatest strength." Laina nodded, feeling the weight of the words and the promise of what was to come. She knew that her journey had only just begun, that challenges awaited, and that she would need courage, wisdom, and strength to face them. But, for the first time, she felt truly ready. The morning after the battle was tense. The city of Zifra was alive with energy, but not all of it was peaceful. The council gathered in the palace hall, discussing the attack and what it meant for their future. Laina followed her mother, her mind racing. She had fought with courage, but she knew that surviving one battle did not mean the threat was gone. "Your daughter has proven herself in battle," one council member said, his voice calm but firm. "But her ties to humans, they make some uneasy. What if they bring enemies to our doorstep?" Ilyara's eyes glimmered with determination. "Laina is part of our people. Her connections to humans are not a weakness, they are a strength. We cannot reject that which makes her strong." Laina watched the debate quietly. She had learned much in the past days, but politics was different. Words alone could start conflicts as easily as weapons could. She realized that she had to be careful to prove herself not just in battle, but in leadership. After the meeting, Zurin approached her. "The council may accept your courage in combat," he said, "but your human side still worries them. You must show that you understand Caliph ways, that you respect our traditions." Laina nodded. "I understand, but I also cannot deny who I am. I am both human and Caliph, and I will use both to protect our people." Zurin smiled slightly. "That is why you are different, Laina, and why you may be exactly what Zifra needs." That afternoon, Laina began her next lesson, diplomacy. Ilyara arranged meetings with leaders from different regions of Zifra. Laina listened to their concerns, answered questions, and learned the delicate balance of respect and honesty. Some leaders were cautious, but they could see her intelligence and fairness. Slowly, she began earning trust. During one meeting, a young council member named Terran, known for his skepticism, spoke sharply. "How can we trust her? She has lived with humans. She does not understand our ways as fully as we do." Laina met his gaze steadily. "I may not know everything about your ways yet," she said, "but I know that I love this world. I want to protect it. I want to learn. That is all any of us can do, every day." Terran's eyes narrowed, but there was a hint of respect. He said nothing more, leaving Laina with a quiet satisfaction. She was learning to navigate this world as much with words as with action. That night, a new problem arose. Scouts reported unusual movements in the nearby star system. Ships appeared, cloaked and fast. They were not the same fleet that had attacked before. Someone else was coming, and their intentions were unknown. Ilyara called an emergency council meeting. "We do not know who they are," she said, "but we must prepare. Laina, your skills and insight will be valuable. I want you on the command deck with me." Laina nodded, feeling both nervous and ready. She had trained for combat, but strategy on a grand scale was new. She took her place beside her mother as the Caliph fleet mobilized again. The enemy ships appeared suddenly, surrounding Zifra. Their numbers were larger, and they moved with precision. Laina could sense their energy, sharp and aggressive. She felt a surge of fear, but also determination. She would not let her home be taken. Focus on coordination, Ilyara instructed. Laina, manage the defense shields for the city sectors. Zurin will handle the fleet's attack patterns. Laina reached out with her energy, extending it across the city's defenses. She directed the shields to strengthen weak points, to absorb incoming attacks, and to protect civilians. She could feel the flow of energy, the heartbeat of Zifra itself, and she moved with it like a conductor leading an orchestra. The battle was long and dangerous. Enemy ships struck with force, and Caliph vessels were damaged. Laina worked tirelessly, combining her human creativity with Caliph precision. She found weaknesses in the enemy formations, predicting their movements before they acted. Ilyara watched proudly. Her daughter was more than she had imagined. Not only did Laina fight, she led, thought ahead, and protected more than herself. During a pause in the battle, an alarm blared. A small group of enemy ships had slipped past the main fleet and were heading toward the city's energy core. Laina acted instantly. She gathered her energy faster than ever and created a barrier around the core. The ships fired, energy beams hitting her shields. Sparks flew, and the force shook her, but she held firm. Zurin piloted a ship alongside her, striking at the enemy vessels. Together, they pushed back the threat and protected the heart of Zifra. When the last enemy ship was repelled, Laina felt exhaustion settle in. Her body ached, but her mind was sharp. She had learned more in one battle than in weeks of training. Afterward, the council gathered to discuss the attack. Some members were still skeptical of Laina, worried about her human upbringing. Others had seen her bravery and leadership firsthand and began to advocate for her place among them. Ilyara stood beside her daughter. Laina has shown not only skill, but wisdom and courage. She has proven that her human experience is a gift, not a weakness. We must accept her as one of our own, or we risk losing more than we gain. The council members debated late into the night. Laina listened, absorbing every word, learning the politics of her people. She realized that battles were not only fought with weapons but with words, decisions, and trust. When the meeting ended, Laina walked alone through the palace gardens. She needed time to think. The stars above shone brightly, and the floating lights cast soft shadows. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders, but she also felt strength. She was no longer just a human raised on another planet. She was Caliph, daughter of a queen, a leader in her own right. Suddenly, Zurin appeared. "The humans wish to speak with you," he said. "They have information about the enemies who attacked. It may help us understand who we are facing." Laina nodded and followed him to a private chamber. Daniel and Maria were there, along with a few other human crew members. They brought data and star maps, explaining what they had learned about the enemy fleet. "The attackers are part of a mercenary alliance," Daniel said. "They have been hired by an unknown faction, likely seeking to exploit Zifra's energy resources. They are organized, but they are not invincible." Laina studied the maps. She could see patterns in the enemy movements, weaknesses that could be exploited. "We can defend the planet," she said. "If we focus our forces and use energy shields strategically, we can turn their own formations against them." Maria smiled. "You have grown into a remarkable leader, Laina. Not just a fighter, but a thinker." Laina felt a swell of pride. She realized that her human upbringing had given her creativity and adaptability, while her Caliph training gave her precision and power. Together, they made her stronger than either alone. Back in the palace, Ilyara watched her daughter return. She felt hope and relief, but also concern. The battles ahead would be more dangerous. The mercenary alliance would not stop easily, and Laina's dual identity might be tested in ways none of them could predict. That night, Laina stood on the balcony, looking at the stars. She thought of the humans who had raised her, the mother who had found her, and the world she was learning to protect. She felt a sense of purpose, stronger than fear. "I will protect this world," she whispered to herself. "I will protect both my families. I will not fail." As she stood there, a faint signal reached her mind, an unknown presence approaching from deep space. It was subtle, almost hidden, but she sensed it clearly. Someone, or something, was watching Zifra. The mercenary alliance was only the beginning. A larger threat loomed, one that would test her courage, wisdom, and loyalty like never before. Laina took a deep breath, feeling the power within her. She knew that the coming days would bring challenges that could not be solved by strength alone. She would need strategy, trust, and the ability to unite her people. But she also knew that she was ready. She was no longer just a girl lost in the stars. She was Laina, daughter of Ilyara, and a bridge between two worlds. And soon, the galaxy would learn that underestimating her, and humanity, was a mistake no one could afford to make. The days after the last attack were tense. Zifra was on high alert, and Laina felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. The unknown fleet still lingered beyond the edge of the system, waiting for the right moment to strike. But Laina was ready. She had trained, fought, and learned more in the past weeks than most Caliph did in years. Ilyara stood beside her on the palace balcony, looking out at the distant stars. "Laina," she said softly, "you have grown stronger than I ever imagined. But remember, strength alone is not enough. You must also lead with wisdom and heart." Laina nodded. "I know, Mother. I will not fail." The human crew had returned to provide assistance. Daniel, Maria, and the others worked with Caliph engineers to reinforce the city's defenses and analyze the enemy fleet. Laina studied their maps, tracing paths, and predicting movements. She felt the hum of energy in her own body, connecting with the city and the ships around it. She could sense the pulse of Zifra as if it were alive and guiding her. The council gathered once more, tense but hopeful. Some members still doubted Laina because of her human upbringing. Others had seen her in battle and diplomacy and were starting to trust her judgment. Ilyara spoke firmly. "Laina has proven herself. She is not only my daughter, but a leader in her own right. The decisions she makes now are for the good of all Zifra." Laina stepped forward. "I know there are doubts," she said, her voice steady. "But we face a threat that cannot be ignored. We must act together. Humans and Caliph can work side by side, just as I have learned. If we unite, we will survive. If we divide, we will fall." The council murmured among themselves. Slowly, the words began to sink in. Some of the skeptical leaders nodded. Others remained quiet, but the tension in the room lessened. Laina felt a small surge of hope. The enemy fleet approached slowly, their ships casting dark shadows against the stars. Laina stood on the command deck, surrounded by Caliph and human allies. The city's shields glowed, ready to defend every sector. "Prepare for combat," Ilyara commanded. "Laina, you will lead the defense strategy." Laina's heart pounded, but she focused. She extended her energy through the city, sensing every movement, every pulse. She could feel the enemy ships as if they were part of her own body, and she directed the Caliph fleet with precision. The first wave struck with immense force. Energy beams lit up the sky, and ships collided with explosions that shook the ground. Civilians were evacuated to safe zones as Laina's shields absorbed the attacks. She directed reinforcements to weak points, striking back with controlled energy bursts that disabled enemy vessels without unnecessary destruction. Daniel and the humans assisted, using their technology to predict enemy formations and relay critical information. Together, they created a strategy that combined Caliph's strength with human ingenuity. Laina's dual heritage was the key. Her understanding of both worlds allowed her to anticipate attacks and counter them in ways neither side could have done alone. As the battle raged, a large enemy flagship broke through the defenses, heading directly for the city core. Laina felt a surge of fear, but she pushed it aside. She summoned all her energy, creating a massive barrier around the core. The enemy fired repeatedly, but Laina held firm, channeling strength from the city and the people within it. Ilyara joined her, adding her own power to the barrier. Together, mother and daughter formed a shield that no enemy weapon could penetrate. Sparks of energy crackled and collided, lighting up the sky like lightning. The enemy flagship shook under the force, and finally, it faltered, retreating under the pressure. The rest of the fleet followed suit. Laina coordinated counterattacks, guiding Caliph and human ships to exploit weaknesses in the enemy lines. One by one, the hostile ships were disabled or forced to flee. The battle was long, exhausting, but by the end, Zifra had survived. The city was damaged, but not destroyed. The Caliph cheered, and the humans celebrated quietly, proud of the role they had played. Laina felt a mixture of relief and exhaustion. She had faced the test of her life and had emerged victorious. After the battle, the council convened once more. This time, the skepticism had mostly faded. Laina's courage, wisdom, and leadership had earned their respect. Taryn, the young council member who had doubted her before, stepped forward. Laina, he said, you have proven yourself beyond question. Your vision and strength have saved Zifra. We are grateful to have you among us. Laina smiled, feeling a sense of pride and belonging. She realized that her journey was only beginning, but she now had the trust of her people. She had bridged two worlds, proving that her human upbringing and Caliph heritage were both part of her strength. Ilyara embraced her daughter, tears in her eyes. I am so proud of you, Laina, she whispered. You have returned to us, stronger than ever, and have shown what it means to be both human and Caliph. Laina hugged her mother tightly. I could not have done it without your guidance, mother. And I could not have become who I am without the humans who raised me. The humans gathered nearby, smiling at the reunion. Daniel stepped forward. Laina, you have done something incredible. You have not only saved a planet, but you have shown that two worlds can work together. Laina nodded. We are stronger together, she said. And this is only the beginning. There will be more challenges, but we will face them as one. In the days that followed, Zifra rebuilt. The damaged areas of the city were restored with the help of both Caliph and human technology. Laina trained new recruits, taught diplomacy, and continued to strengthen the bond between the two worlds. Her leadership inspired others to see that differences could be a source of power, not division. One evening, Laina and Ilyara stood on the balcony, looking at the stars. The city below shimmered with life and energy, stronger than ever. Laina felt a deep sense of peace. She had found her place, not just as a daughter or a warrior, but as a bridge between worlds. I never imagined I would return to Zifra like this, Laina said softly. I feared I would never belong anywhere. You belong, Laina, Ilyara replied. You always have. And now, the galaxy will know that underestimating humans and Caliph together is a mistake they cannot afford to make. Laina smiled, looking out at the endless stars. Then, let them come, she said quietly. We are ready. And for the first time in her life, Laina felt completely whole. She had faced loss, fear, and doubt, and had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to lead. The galaxy had asked for heroes, and she had become one. Not just as a Caliph, not just as a human, but as Laina, a symbol of courage, unity, and hope. The stars above Zifra seemed to shine brighter that night, carrying the promise of a future where two worlds could stand together, stronger than ever before. Laina knew that adventures and challenges still awaited, but she was ready for them. She had found her family, her home, and her purpose. As she stood there with her mother, she whispered to the wind, no matter what comes next, we will face it together. And for Zifra, for humanity, and for the bond between them, that was a promise the galaxy would never forget.